Hello guys. So in our previous lecture we actually declared all the functions related to proposals, and then now it's time to actually write the methods for the vote and execute proposal. So in the vote, so when the method vote will be executed, you want to check who is executing the vote, whether it's a member or not. So it has to be only the member. Next is that voting post that the proposal number is required for which proposal the person is voting, and whether he is in support or in against, right? And then whatever the justification text. So first thing we need to do is we need to actually add the proposal number, because we need to make sure that he is actually entering the proposal number correct. Then we will have the boolean, which will be the vote or the kind of a vote value. So we need to add, let's say, proposal and then the support, whether the support or not. So we'll call it supports proposal. Let's call it a supports proposal. So supports proposal is there. Justification text, so it can be anything. So it's simple. Now we need to make sure it is being only executed by the members, and it returns the vote ID. So it returns unsigned integer called vote ID. So now, since all the variables are here, we need to make sure that we are recording the particular vote inside the proposal itself. So first thing we need to do is we need to fetch the proposal from the proposals array. So to fetch it, because it's an array of the structure, which is proposal type, so we'll call it a P. So P is equal to proposals and then call proposal number. So now we have the proposal which is being voted over here in the method. Next is, let's try to put the values and check whether the particular proposal has already been voted by the address or not, because that has to be a security concern. So we'll say p dot voted, where we have tracked already who has been voted or not. So we'll say p dot voted is equal to msg dot sender. So if this is equal to true, right? If this is equal to true, then we have to just throw the exception. So we call it a throw. Once this is done, then we call it a p dot voted, because it means the particular user has not been voted yet. So we'll call it, because this line is here, because if he has already voted, he would have already received an exception. Otherwise, this will be true. So proposal voted is equal to true, and then number of votes received to this proposal will be increased by 1, because this particular proposal had just received the new vote. Next is we need to check whether this is in support or not. So this is supports proposal, right? So we'll see key dot current result plus plus, right? And then we'll see else, we need to p dot current results minus minus. Simple. So if it is in favor, we will increase the value. If it is not, we will decrease the value. So this way we'll have the 0. If the current result is positive, it means it is in support. If it is negative, it means it is in against. So this vote has been recorded. Next is we need to just return the vote number. Return p dot number of votes, because the p dot why we need to return p dot number of votes, because p dot number of votes will actually keep the track of all the possible votes or the vote ID. So whatever the vote has been stored in there, because the most recent vote has been stored, so this will become the vote ID. So we are returning it as a vote ID. We can always call an event to declare that something has happened. So this is optional. So now the vote has been done. Next is we need to check whether the current result is positive or not. If the deadline has passed, and if yes, the transaction must get executed. To execute the proposal, here we need to now check all these conditions whether the particular proposal can be executed or not. So of course two things are required: the proposal number and the transaction bytecode from the customer, whoever is executing the proposal. So first thing you need to do is fetch the proposal. So proposal P is equal to proposals and then get the proposal number from this. So it's simple. Now we have the proposal P inside it. So let's check the security part, whether the deadline has been passed, the minimum voting has been achieved, whether it has already been executed. So first thing we need to check is the deadline. So we'll say if the now is lesser than the voting deadline. So this means the the voting deadline is beyond the current time. It means actually the voting has deadline has not been passed, right? So we cannot execute it. Or so we'll put the or condition. I will say if P dot executed. So this is another condition. Then we'll say P dot proposal hash is equal to, or sorry, is not equal to, because we want to check whether the proposal hash is actually matching or not, right? So we'll say again SHA-3, and we'll calculate the SHA-3 with P dot recipient comma P dot amount comma P dot transaction. Sorry, not the P dot transaction, because we haven't stored the transaction bytecode in the proposal. So we'll take the transaction bytecode from the user, and if this matches, it means everything is fine. Sorry, so this is or again. Then the last condition is if the number of votes is actually lesser than the quorum. So we'll say number of votes is less than the minimum quorum. If this is true, this clearly means that there are not enough votes to decide whether the proposal should be passed or not. So all these if any of these conditions are met, it means that it cannot be executed. So we'll just throw an exception. That's it. Simple. So revert everything and then go back to normal, because we cannot execute this. But if that's not true, then you need to figure out how to execute it. But before that, you need to make sure the current result is more than the majority margin, because the majority margin is something that we have set initially at the time of the creation. If the current result is more than the majority margin, we can continue and execute this proposal. So to execute the proposal, first thing we need to do is we need to mark that it has been executed, right? And if it is executed, and if that's done, then you need to transfer the whatever the proposal exactly was there. So P dot, this is how you execute the method. P dot recipient dot call dot value. Then we need to have, so this is the amount, how much you want to transfer, P dot amount. So since this amount is in ether, you need to convert the P dot amount into the ether, into the V, because that's where it that's what works here in the value. Inside the value, this has to be in the V. V is the smallest unit of the ether right now, just like a cent in the dollar, the paisa in the rupee. So this is the smallest unit. So once this is done, you need to also pass the transaction bytecode if it is there. So transaction bytecode can help you executing the other methods than the actual transaction. So let's say calling a method, you can actually use the method bytecode over here and execute the method if it is there. So once it is done, or this particular part is done, so if it is successful, it's all good. Else, this not means if this is not successful, then you need to just throw an exception and make sure that since you are throwing the exception over here and there are certain values can be has been updated, so these changes will be reverted back automatically, so nothing will go wrong. So this particular method can be also inside this. I'm just putting it inside the curly braces to make it more sensible. Okay, so this is simple. So if it is executed and it is throw, then you need to just update the proposal passed. Proposal passed is equal to true. So remember, proposal passed can be different and proposal executed can be different. Proposal can be passed but not yet executed. So if this if has not been met, or above if not been met, it means that the particular margins are not there, then proposal has been passed but it cannot be executed. So it can be like this. So simply proposal passed. So that's it. We have just completed. So next part, what left is a small part where you want to just make the default address as a payable. So if there is no method has been chosen, people should be able to transfer some ethers into the contract. That's an optional. So if you remove this, then nobody can transfer the ether into this address except at the time of the creation. So why? Because we have added payable in the constructor. So if you see, this payable is there in the constructor. So it means at the time of the creation the congress, the ether can be transferred. But since we already have this payable here, the ether can be transferred even after that. So that's all. We haven't added any events over here just because these are not very much necessary, but you can always add some events to indicate others. But your contract is done. In the next lecture, we will test out this contract and see how it works. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.